One of the stars of the Paris Motor Show is the new Opel Ampera-E. It has nothing to do with the so far Ampera model. This is a totally all-new car and it is built as an electric car. It is not a car that is basically, for example, an Astra or a Corsa, and it was put in with electric technology. This is an all-new platform, just for example as Volkswagen showed with the ID concept. But the difference here is that this car will be available for purchase already next year, and I say already early next year. The price is not out yet, but Opel stands for achievable cars, and so I think it should be something around 30,000 euros, a little bit more maybe. That it gets maybe at the same price like an e-Golf, for example. We'll tell you everything about this car you need to know: exterior, interior, and also about the engine. More deals in an interview with a technician as well. 500 kilometers of range, pure electric. That's what they promise. Let's go. The front is dominated by the design line that splits here in a symmetric way, and with this new Opel wings that come from the Opel Blitz, lightning here, and leads over to the headlights. And we've seen also, for example, in the new Mokka X facelift. Very interesting. And overall, well, it has kind of a van character, a little bit. That will account for the most electric cars, at least if you want to have good dimensions on the outside and well using of space on the inside. It has the typical Opel design language we see at the moment, and overall it cannot be so much differentiated as an electric car, just because in the lower part we don't have any open vents. This one is closed because we don't need any cooling for the front engine here. In the side profile, the length of the car is just a little bit shorter than a compact class Astra. But on the inside, we'll pretty much be surprised. I can already promise you that. Here, the taillights lead over through this connecting design layer over to the rear of the car. Design dropping line at the height of the door handles. And then what's also interesting, that we got an imitating flying roof. And here that reminds me a little bit of the BMW i3. Of course, the roof is not flying, but it seems like due to this visual trick. And the taillights already begin right here. We don't have any special wind-resistant rims or something like that. They're pretty much standard. Here also in a two-color scheme, 17-inch, so already bigger ones. Of course, you can also go for smaller ones. I'll make a freeway for one look for you in the total side profile. How do you like the Ampera-E from the design? To the rear, those taillights, they have a lot of structure on the inside and a lot of design elements we see here. I think they weren't quite sure what to do. We have here a gap again, then different forms here. But one thing is for sure, it attracts attention, especially with a huge glass layer here. And already two cameras here for the extensive camera system. And we can already open the rear hatch. What is interesting, the taillights flip out. Then we have nothing left right here. And that's the trunk. And 4 meters 17 is the length. And you have to think about, usually you don't have too much space here. And also not too limited here in the rear, because normal cars that have been made electric, they are limited here in the height. Here you can put this one a little bit higher then to have an even loading surface, if you like it or if you don't like it. But here, as the batteries are really placed in the very low bottom of the car, you don't have any limitations there. If you have put this one here right there, you can also have an even loading surface right there. Also soft material covered here. And what I see from the front seat, that is very interesting. And I guess there are some levers right here, and that you can put the front seat. That would have been better if we could move it totally the way in the front, but that's the maximum setup here, 2/3, 1/3 split from the rear seats. And let's go on to the front of the interior. Charging the car in the front left, right here, and you have different possibilities. For example, here also for those fast charging cables, and then you can also get this car reloaded quite fast again. But for 23 hours a day, usually a car stands still, just from the figures. And so usually there should be plenty of time to load the car even at the normal household plug. And let's take a look at the interior. Easy and simple materials on the inside. We have to remember they want to keep the price down of this vehicle. However, nice wide accentuations with a structured surface right here as a contrast. Same here at the beginning of the interior. Then the first look at this, there will also be different seat surfaces, materials available. So I'll take a test seat. The two levers here you can already see. Here you sit a little bit higher, so not really low, but also not SUV style, a little bit something in between. Then you can also manually change the back part of the seat, pump the seat up or down again. For me, 1m86 or 6'1", put in the lowest position. Headroom, there's plenty of left, so that's no problem. Steering wheel can be very well adjusted. Also towards you. It's nice, and also there will be a heated steering wheel available. Those buttons are very interesting. It looks like they can be washed off because they are hidden. You can feel them, but they are, behind this rubber part. It's almost like when you have a waterproof remote control. Very interesting. The only thing about the seats is, in this setup here, they feel a little bit slim. So if you're very wide, that might be a problem for you. But we'll have to find out later also when we, for example, can drive the car, if there are also other seat setups available. The seats as they are right now are not that wide. That is one thing I do realize immediately. When you look to the front, there's this panoramic windscreen, very long dashboard. And that you see it here, that might create some reflections, especially with the light we have here, but that might not be that bad on the outside. And this creates also this van-style atmosphere, also with the additional small windows right there in the front. And this cockpit perspective, because the huge screen will be the center of this whole car, and it will mainly work via touch. So, for example, here you can type in some numbers. This is the way here you can control the sound volume. Seat heating will also be available, or a climate unit when the vehicle is turned on. We cannot do it right now. The basic climate functions are still available here with the normal, cold and warm, and also the vents, also where the vents will be coming from. Everything else we're basically done right here. For example, there is this app view, and OnStar will be the concierge services, but also the SOS call at the same time. Phone you can either connect via Bluetooth, but it will also be available to connect your smartphone. They will have thought about the connectivity. Let's go back there again. Maybe show you what we can do in the settings. Maybe not everything is available right yet. It's really a huge screen, and it's also a matte display. Gallery. You can also put some pictures in there. So reaction times are also all right. So projection, not so much is possible yet here. Audio, you can of course stream your music. Oh no, it's out again, but no problem. What is interesting that in the interior we have this frame, the white frame around here, and then there's nothing, because we don't need a middle tunnel in the car. We can have some space, for example, for women, for handbags, for example. It will be very, very important. 12-volt power supply in the lower part, 2 beverage holders, then the central stick to control the gears, like this, electric handbrake, 2 USB ports, then maybe a space for your key, and then you can put up the armrest right here for some more space. And then the instruments, fully digital also here for the driver. You see the maximum range of 5 kilometers, and they really promise us, we have tested that it should be a realistic figure. There we will see the speed, and you can also see some other information right there, and you can also change the information what you want to have right here. For example, also audio information. Let's go left here. You can also put the phone information right there, all controllable via the steering wheel. Now it's really interesting. Remember, 4 meters 17. That's shorter than a compact car, than an Astra, for example. But look at that, what a great package. And that's the real advantage of an electric car that was also developed as an electric vehicle. So much space in front of my knees, and this we usually have with cars that are maybe like 40 centimeters longer, like this longer. So this is the real advantage of this car. Headroom wise, I still do fit in here, that's no problem. And you can easily move around the rear because we also have left out the middle tunnel then here, as it's a full electric car. See a lot of space here that makes a roomy atmosphere, and 2 USB charging ports here for children, for example. Flipping the seats, I've shown you that already. Here again, for example, this one single seat to flip, also easily done right here, and here's some beverage holders. And now Ralf Hannapel joins us. He is the director for electrification at Opel. And of course, this is your baby. So tell us first, what were the main goals when developing this car?
Yeah, first of all, the main goal was to develop a car that is for everyday use. So what we wanted to create is go away from this ecological picture, go away from the boring designs, go to a fun-to-drive car, everyday use, familientauglich, as we say in German.
Family suitable.
Family suitable, and which means that, of course, the range is one of the big things, and this is, I think, what we achieved. And this was a great challenge to achieve a range that is unique and is more than every other competitor in this segment.
Of course, I already heard some of you saying, oh, when I turn on the AC, is it maybe then down to 300 kilometers range or so? But you have tested it, the range, the total range.
Yes, actually, just to talk little about the AC, this is in general the case. If you have a very energy efficient car like this is, of course there are certain consumers, electric consumers, that are big, and AC is the biggest one. So that is in every car. You just don't notice it on a gas and diesel engine because then it simply consumes 2 liters more per 100 kilometers. And here it's very similar, so it's the biggest consumer actually.
So can you really quantify that? So if you turn on the AC, how much range does it cost? Can you approximately say that? In general, not maybe for this car, but in general, do you know that?
No, in general, I don't have that number. It depends very heavily on the outside temperature. So for example, if it's very, very hot, right, then of course the energy needs more. If you are around the temperature of the exterior, it's less. And so there is not a general number. And by the way, this is a general issue with this kind of stuff. That's why we, for example, say greater than 500 kilometers. We don't have this type approved yet, but we will come up, of course, definitely after type approval with a number. And this is also why all the cycles exist.
What was
compare cars? Excuse me. Yes.
What was fundamentally different when developing a pure electric car? Because this has not been developed on a Astra platform or something. It wasn't totally new platform. So what was different for you and for your fellow workers, and what were maybe the advantages resulting from this?
Yes, the differences was that we created more or less around the battery. So one target was to have this long-range car, which gives you immediately, you need to optimize the energy, the battery has to be big, and what we did is we integrated the batteries, we started the car development from the battery. So the car is more or less wrapped around the whole battery. The battery is fully integrated, which leads to all kinds of advantages. You can reduce the mass, you can optimize the stiffness of the car to make it nicer to drive. And there are many other advantages that might be too technical.
So at a later stage we will of course also drive this car, but can we expect a really sporty handling because of a low center of gravity and maybe also even weight balance?
Absolutely. So for example, the battery is so integrated that it is very stiff, the low center of gravity, the steering was specifically adjusted for an Opel. It drives very agile, I have to say.
From a customer perspective, are you more aiming at totally new customers or more at existing Opel customers?
Actually, we are targeting both. So when you do market research, you see that people actually replace their gas and diesel engines by electric cars. So it's in general speaking, not what we target. Just for a moment, in general speaking, actually the people already have a car. So it's not new customers. And then they turn from gas, diesel to the alternative fuels. We, of course, because we think that this package will be very attractive in terms of range, price and everything, that will attract all kinds of different customers that completely will rethink their view on transportation.
If I'm an existing Opel or Vauxhall customer, how can I conceive it? For example, I drive an Astra, and is it the same interior? Do I have more space on the interior than an Astra, or how is it on the outside? So to which model can you compare the dimensions on the outside and the inside, that people can have a good picture of that?
Yes, actually the size of the car, and I just connect the battery, because we actually, as I told you before, we constructed the car around the battery. The size of the car is 4.17 meters. It's between a Corsa and an Astra. Corsa is roughly 4 meters, and the Astra is 4.37, so it's in the middle. But in the interior, because we did this specific design around the battery, it's like a compact car, it's like an Astra. The trunk, for example, is 381 liters in trunk space, while the Astra is, for the same measure, 370. So it's actually 11 liters more. And very similar also, we put some special technology in there to allow more legroom in the rear. So, for example, the thin seat technology.
And of course, the most important question, when will it be on the market, and maybe also for which customers? Because I think it will also be a Vauxhall Ampera-E at the same time, and also a Chevy Bolt. So maybe you can give us the perspective, where can I buy it, under which brand? And maybe, at what price? I have to ask you.
Yeah, actually it will be on the market in spring 2015. We have not planned to sell it as a Vauxhall. Because of the right-hand version that would have been required, and we target at the high volume markets, which are left-hand drive. And on the price, I have to say, I'm sorry, at this moment we're just 6 to 7 months before spring, when the car will be ready. It's just too early. We cannot say anything about the price at the moment.
We're really anxious to hear that, and then later, after we have revealed that, also we'll drive the car, of course, and the American customers will also see it as a Chevy Bolt. At least. Sorry for all the UK customers so far. I think you'll have to come to Germany then to drive this car.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We cannot look under the hood today. They have closed it and don't want to reveal it yet, but we know there are about 204 horsepower, if you calculate that, and that means from 0 to 50 kilometers an hour, for example, you will have every race car owned pretty much. And of course later on they will catch up. But this car will also be very fast in the acceleration, at least in the lower kilometer range. Yeah, and the range, they've tested it, as I said, it is really a realistic range, so that is really a game changer. And if the price that will be revealed later is also attractive, and we just estimate that, then this could really be a game changer as an Opel Ampera-E or also as a Chevy Bolt. Both are built in the US, and this one comes over as the Opel then. The package, especially in the rear, is very good. In the front, I would like some more stepping up build quality. Let's see if that will change from pre-series production. And the seats are a little bit slim. Those are the negative points I've found. But then again, the range beats it all, and also the package we have in the rear and in the trunk, considering this is still a very short car. So definitely probably the game changer in the electric mobility for the masses. Or what's your opinion? Give me that one here on Autogefühl, the #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and the #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. Thanks here from Paris.